Welcome to Techno with me. Today we'll learn Langsmith. Langsmith is very powerful LLM DevOps application. Through this particular tool, you can deploy, monitor, test your LLM application. We'll cover overview, trace the LLM calls, and then create dataset. That is already covered in my previous chapters. In this chapter, we'll cover very important thing, evaluate your LLM application. Whether your app application is giving correct response or not, that we can learn today using the Python code. In the last chapter, we had created the dataset using this particular program. So you can see we have a client object, and then we created a create dataset method or function, and then give the dataset name over there. And with client.createDataset, by providing the dataset name, we created few questions, inputs, and then few outputs. So what is LangChain and your framework for building LLM application? What is Langsmith, one-stop solution? Like that way, we created few input questions and also corresponding answers we provided and created a dataset that you can see in my last video. I will provide that video URL in the description. Now, what we are going to do, this is very interesting thing. Now we want to validate your LLM applications with this reference point. That means, like, if we ask the same question, what is LangChain? And will that LLM generate the same kind of answer, or it will deviate? So we'll try to give a correct or incorrect answers, or we'll try to generate correct or incorrect output from that LLM action. So let's start that particular activity. So let's create a class, Langsmith _evaluate.py. This code will evaluate dataset with corresponding responses. Let's import Langsmith libraries. First, we'll import the client, and then we'll import .env for our Langsmith API keys. Then we'll import OS to load those env files. Then we'll import LangChain, our core version of LangChain for we'll import LangChain core prompt template. We'll import chain string evaluator and evaluator, and then some schemas of run and example, and our chat models, chat OpenAI. And we are going to use LM Studio, which is not required any API key. So LM Studio installation and configuration, that is also covered in another video. You can definitely look into that particular video. In the file, I have already put all my credentials of Langsmith. So you can copy and you can load this one using os.env. It's straightforward Python code. So that way we can load the LangChain API key and then LangChain endpoint, and we can keep LangChain tracing_v2 is equal to true. So this API key, how to generate the API key, how to get the endpoint, that is also covered in my earlier video. You can refer that particular video. So let's create a prompt template. So what I am expecting this particular prompt template to give a query. So that query will be our queries that is in our inputs. So this will go into the query section, and then answers will be our output that is already provided in this output. So that way it will generate input output, and then it will give a result. That result will be either like correct or incorrect, and then that way we will evaluate in our Langsmith. We'll show you how we are going to evaluate it. Let's complete the remaining code. So we'll obviously generate a prompt, create a prompt using this prompt template. And what would be our input over here? So first we'll give the input variable as our query. This is our input variable, and query and answer, these are the input variable, and then result. So these are in our prompt, the prompt template. From prompt template we are taking query, answer, and results, and then the template will be our prompt template. So this is also standard concept or prompt template of LLM concept. And this is the chat OpenAI that is required our LM Studio. From LM Studio, you can get this base URL after running the server. That is, as I said, like you can see my old videos to configure the LM Studio over there. Now we are going to create a string evaluator. We are going to call string evaluator from Langsmith. So there we need two things. Let's see. I will explain this one. See, we are going to give that LLM because LLM is required and we are going to give the prompt. Okay. So this is our QA evaluator. So we have created a QA evaluator, which is a question evaluator, I would say, using our LLM and prompt. And that way, with this chain string evaluator, we are going to compare the strings to generate our correct or incorrect result. Create a client object, and I'm not going to call the create dataset because create dataset will always create a dataset, and as the dataset is already exists with the name of demo dataset. In the last video, as I said, like we using that other Python code, we created this demo dataset. So we are going to use the same demo dataset, but here the questions will be our input, and let's see what kind of output it gets generated. So we'll provide some sample input and output over here, and we'll create a evaluate length function that requires a dictionary. Evaluate length function will have output, and then this is the prediction, and the answers which will generate from the LLM, that should be our required. So then we'll compare these predictions and the required output in line number 52, you can see, and then the length of that particular validation, like I would say evaluation, will be returned from this particular evaluate length method function. So let's create my question function over here. So we are going to call chat client completion create. It's standard way to ask the question, obviously, or to do a chat with the LLM. So we are going to use Mistral model over here. The temperature, let's take 0.5. That's my standard. You can use anything between 0 to 1 in the temperature. I'll create one more video where we can understand all the LLM parameters. So the message over here, the system role will be, it will be like I'm giving a content over here, and from the user perspective, we are going to give questions. So that would be our message format. And then once that will go to our chat client completion creation, then the return will come to the choices, and from that choice 0 message.content will return the completion, so that it can be go and then compare with the evaluation function that we created earlier. Now let's call the my app with the input. What would be our input? Our input will be all the questions that we have already provided or mentioned in the top. So these will be all our questions. It will go in our chat client completion create or my app function, and then we'll return this our output. Next, we need to define Langsmith way. So because that experiment result, we need to evaluate it, right? So we need to evaluate So we'll provide few parameters in the evaluate. One is the Langsmith app, which is nothing. It will call the input and then the dataset name with which it will obviously evaluate. And then the evaluator will call, we need to have a length and the evaluator, QA evaluator. So once we generate it, you can see in the dataset, this will create like this many calls I made already. So you can see one I tried earlier. So it generates some error over here. So I want to show you that error is also very, very important to understand from Langsmith. See, last time when I ran it, it gave me the error of completion.choice 0 message, that in line number 99, right? So that way we can understand the error. If I recapitulate and then I deleted it, I fixed it. Now the code is like this. So this is the first part we'll import, and then we'll load our API's key. We'll create a prompt template, and then we'll call the or initiate the LLM. And this is the create data set. This way we already created a data set. Okay, so we can delete that particular portion. I mistakenly copied it, so we can delete it. So this is the evaluate length to validate the length of the variation of prediction and required. And this is the message format, and this is our generated response for each call. And this is the question to our chat. And the last one is to evaluate that one. Evaluate our questions and responses, predictions and responses. So let's run it. So you can see in our LM Studio that already log has already started. So calling has already started, and LLM has already started generating the answers. One answers got generated, and that way all the answers will automatically get generated. Let's see in our Langsmith UI how this evaluation is actually showing. So if we go to the evaluator run, one run or one tracing started, definitely, because that is the LLM calls. For each and every LLM calls, we can see the runs and traces of LLM calls, which I have already covered how to integrate in my last videos in chapter 1. So here you can see the data set and the correctness and the length. So it's very, very interesting. I have done a few calls. As I said, like there are errors generated last time. So that error, it was because of that particular line. The error got generated, like client.chat completion. From there, the line number 69, all those errors will come. So easy to understand, easy to debug also if we try to use this Langsmith for our different purpose also. So that was the error. Now if we go to this particular call, if we go inside, see, this is the reference output, and this is our output from the call, the third column. So if we go, what is LangChain? A framework, it was the reference output. And what is the output generated by, at the bottom, you can see it is a decentralized platform, enable secure private communication parties without the need of intermediate. So that way you can see this is correct answer. Also, LLM also understood this is a correct answer. May not be exact string comparison. So we could have done with the string comparison easily, but it's not a string comparison. It's LLM is totally different, right? Because it can generate the answers in a different way. But through Langsmith, we can easily understand that evaluation is not a direct string comparison, but it is also checking the correctness of the answers. So you can see this is incorrect. These are the metadata also generated. We can understand, and any QA or any LLM QA can definitely go and then see the correctness and provide the answers also, or provide the metadata also. So here it is incorrect. One run, it got incorrect. See, 1 are the correct and 0s are the incorrect one. One-stop solution of this one. Python programming language. Python is widely used programming language. That way it was correct. Now we can go with and then filter it out with correct and length also. And we can see the correctness graph in there also. And run count, and then error rate. Error rate is also there, right? 100% error rate, because the last call was totally failed. Okay,